We're streaming. Thank you. Good afternoon, and I formally declare open the meeting of Colac Otway Shire Council to consider carried over items from the council meeting of 28th of February 2024 and was adjourned at item 9.15 on March 1st, Friday. I've previously called for declarations of conflict. Unless any councillors have altered their view on conflicts, I will consider this complete. Can I please check if we have any apologies? No apologies. Now we will move to the first item of business, which is where we left off, is item 9.15, Colac Visitor Information Centre Road Reserve issue. The purpose of this report is to seek a resolution from Council to undertake the process to change the classification of a section of land where the Colac Visitor Information Centre sits from road reserve to unreserved government land. Councillors, before I ask for a motion, do any councillors wish to ask any questions of officers? Councillor Hart.
Thanks, Mayor. My question relates to the diagram and the prompt on page 325. The area of land in question's quite large in that it goes beyond the visitor centre. What was the prompt that Council decided this process was needed to discontinue the road at this time? Or the road reserve at least?
Through you, Mayor, the prompt was DECA approaching us and wanting us to change the classification because then they could appoint council as a committee of management for the land.
Any further questions? No further questions. Councillors, the officers have provided a recommendation with the report for our consideration. Does any councillor wish to move a motion in relation to this matter? Councillor Potter, I have a seconder. Councillor Costin, thank you. Is to be opposed? Not to be opposed. Can you confirm the motion, please?
Mayor, I'd like to move the recommendation that's up on the screen.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah,
Yes, please.
I'll just say, look, we're tidying up an anomaly here before the final decision's made. We're asking the community to have a look at it and provide us with their thoughts.
Thanks, Councillor Potter. Councillor Costin? No. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor White. As a person who was in the Apex Club when we built this thing, and I was in the foundations when they were being poured, fortunately I got out before the cement set. It's important for the community to understand this is just part of the process that Council's going through to make sure the asset is protected. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Arnott. I will now, councillors, I will now call for a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 5-0. 7-0, sorry. Losing my counting. It's been a long day. We'll move on to the next item, and that's item 9.16, Contract 2412, Reconstruction of Forest Street, Colac, between J. Barry's Road and Pound Road. The purpose of this report is to consider the award of Contract 2412 for reconstruction of Forest Street between J. Barry's Road and Pound Road, Colac. Councillors, before I ask for a motion, do any councillors wish to ask a question of officers? No questions. Thank you. Councillors, we have a recommendation from council officers with the report for our consideration. Does any councillor wish to move a motion in relation to this matter? Councillor Arnott, do I have a seconder? Councillor Potter, is it to be opposed? Not to be opposed. Is that the councillor? Can you confirm that's the motion? The officer's recommendation?
Thank you, Mayor White.
Thank you. Would you now like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. I think it's great to see this project go forward. This is part of the renewal program of the Shire to see our roads continue to be in the best possible condition. And having been a person that's travelled this road on a number of occasions, it needs the work.
Thank you. Seconder, would you like to speak to the motion? Councillor Potter.
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. Further to Councillor Arnott's comments, this will help facilitate the development of our industrial area that we rezoned some time ago, so hopefully that'll move forward. Officers have done a good job on this. The contract is very, very competitive, and I hope everyone will support this.
Thanks, Councillor Potter. Does any other councillor wish to speak? No other councillor wishes to speak. Councillors, the officers, I now call for a vote. All those in favour? Against? Carried 7-0. Councillors, we now move on to item 9.17, Contract 2420, Provision of Labour Hire Services. The purpose of this report is to enter into a new contract for the supply of temporary labour hire services by Comensura Proprietary Limited. I won't say that again. Councillors, before I ask for a motion, do any wish to any questions of officers? Councillor Potter.
Thanks, Mayor. If this recommendation is moved as a motion and goes through, does this provide us with any cost savings or advantages the way we do business as opposed to otherwise?
Through you, Mayor, it does provide a lot of efficiencies and advantages. The main advantage being is that Commensura holds the relationship with the supplier, and so all the administrative functions that need to be performed in doing compliance checking and other requirements with individual workers is done through the supplier, and Commensura confirms that, and Commensura does all the administration and management of invoicing and payments. So it does provide, in our view, a better approach and an efficiency for us.
Thank you, Mr Tenney.
Thank you.
Councillor Finnegan.
Thank you, Mayor. My question just relates to, I guess, value of the contract and like, and just, well, I guess not the value of the contract, I should say. My question is that, just wanting to make sure, and I guess to ask a question so it's on the record, as to ensure that if we do enter into this contract, that the rate we're paying for labour hire isn't out of whack with what we're paying employees.
Mr Tenney.
Through you, Mayor, yeah, on each occasion when we try to engage someone through the contract, we do try and align it with COS staff salary, so we're not paying over and above that where we can.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Hart.
Thanks, Mayor. I understand this contract or a similar one has been entered into since about 2019. Has Council got any comments on the pattern of the usage of labour hire under this contract? Has it been about the same, or has it changed? Less, more, please?
Through you, Mayor, over the life of that contract, it did go up as more contractors were needed through COVID and other things, and I think on the other side now it's decreasing. As we put on more staff, the need to call on those services has decreased.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillors, the officers have provided a recommendation with the report for our consideration. Does any councillor wish to move a motion in relation to this matter? Councillor Hanson, is it to be seconded? Councillor Arnott, is it to be opposed? To be opposed. Councillor Hanson, can you confirm that's the...
I'll move the officer recommendation as the motion. And I think pretty much everything's been explained by your introduction and the couple of questions that have been asked.
Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor White. Look, I also support Councillor Hanson's on this motion, and for people to understand that the use of hire labour and the use of employees is always a bit of a balance, and that the Shire and its activities tries to strive to have a strong cultural workforce internally where it's appropriate, and where we need external support. These sort of arrangements ensure we also have that strong cultural arrangement with them that ensures we have the right delivery of services to our Shire.
Thanks, Councillor Arnott. Councillor Hart?
Yeah, thanks, Mayor. I just wanted to quickly draw attention that this is a contract through the MAV, the Municipal Association of Victoria, and Council has a number of these partnerships. I think we have one in relation to tyres or vehicle maintenance. It just shows the value of being part of the MAV isn't just lobbying, but trying to get a better deal through these tendering type arrangements.
Thanks, Councillor Hart. Any further questions? Comments? No? Thank you. Councillors, I will now call for a vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried 7-0. Thank you, councillors. We now move on to item 9.18, project budget adjustments and cash reserve transfers, February 2024. The purpose of this report is to present the project budget adjustments and cash reserve transfers for council ratification and approval. These budgets are for 23-24 capital works and operational projects. Councillors, before I ask for a motion, do any councillors wish to ask a question of officers? Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, just in relation to Hall Street, Cressy, and the expense of $55,000. When that item came to the chamber, my understanding is that it was at a cost of $10,000. I just wondered if you could explain the difference.
Mr McNeil.
Through you, Mayor. When the report was considered by Council in respect to the road closure last year, the estimated cost of $10,000 was on the basis that the road ends that were to be constructed, so the works associated with that closure would be unsealed. There's been some work done in the infrastructure team over the course of the last 6 to 7 months, and the thought was that there would be benefit in sealing those road ends, but it remains, and therefore the increased cost that you see in the report before you, but it does remain an option for council to proceed with those road ends to be in an unsealed and proceed on the basis of the $10,000 that was originally quoted before council.
Thanks, Mr McNeil. Any other questions? Follow-up question, Councillor Hanson.
I'll just flag, I have a motion to move.
Thank you. Any other questions? Councillor Costin.
Thank you, Mayor. In relation to Table 2, Colac East Roundabout installation of reticulated water, I'm wondering where the income money, which is $20,000 shown, where that is coming from, and why we're now needing another $10,000 to put water onto the centre of this roundabout, and whether this project actually fits in to the money we've put aside for unallocated renewal funds.
Mr McNeil.
Through you, Mayor, in respect of the cost side of things, this project of $30,000 is intending to provide reticulated irrigation to the roundabout. So the Department of Transport and Planning undertook improved landscaping towards the end of last year, but there isn't any irrigation installed, and therefore any watering that occurs for that new planting has to be done by hand. So the intention of this project, now that Council's taken over responsibility for that upgraded roundabout, is that by reticulating the irrigation to the planting, it will ultimately be a cost saving to Council in not having to have traffic management in place each time there's watering occur there. The $20,000 income is to be received from the Department of Transport and Planning, and I believe we've already received that income or invoiced for it.
Thank you, Mr McNeil. Any other questions? Councillor Hanson, then Councillor Arnott.
Just on that watering system, I thought there was a watering system there when the plantings were first installed, and then because of all the accidents that happened, it sort of got damaged. Did that not get put back in?
Through you, Mayor, yeah, our understanding is in alliance with yours that we believe there was some irrigation in place previously, but with the works that have occurred to re-landscape the roundabout, that irrigation is no longer in place. So it needs to be reinstalled. There's a water connection under the road to the roundabout, so there's a tapping. It's really the works that are required to then take that and install some underground pipes within the roundabout itself.
Thanks, Ms McNeil. And did you want to comment? Oh,
The follow-up question is why wasn't it reinstalled when the landscaping got redone?
Yeah, thank you through the chair. Councillor Hanson, we have had conversations with the Department of Transport and Planning around that. We know that there a regional assessment of the re-establishment of landscaping was well above the budget, and we understand that therefore there are a range of decisions made by DOTP, including not to reinstate the irrigation, and we have asked whether that could be done and very clearly made the case for that. I thought what they have offered is a $20,000 contribution to that. The assessment of our services and operations teams is that if we can get the irrigation in, because it will avoid the manual watering and also the traffic control, etc. This, even though it is a $10,000 contribution from council, it will pay back very quickly. I just also, so is that's to answer Councillor Hanson's question around why wasn't it? It was there, it got removed, it didn't go back because the re-establishment of landscaping also had to fit the available budget, is our understanding, and what we have on offer is $20,000 to direct towards something that council thinks is important at the roundabout, and where we are of the view as officers, the most important thing would be to try and get the irrigation re-established.
Doesn't the increase in the report say 20,000?
Is it 20 income?
20.
Yeah,
20
through you, Mayor,
income
it's 20,000 income and
yeah,
a net cost of
and
10,000.
$20,000 project. So using the 20,000 available through the remaining funds from the landscape project that DOTP delivered, if council can provide a further 10, we can establish that, which effectively is only 1 or 2 manual waters, and you've saved it in traffic management. So it's a very clear case, we think. I just wanted to respond to the second question Councillor Costin asked, which I don't know that we circled back to. So Councillor Costin, should that come from asset renewal? It isn't renewing an existing council asset, and I completely acknowledge that. And we should have, and I'm sorry to councils, we should have made a clearer comment about why we are suggesting it come from that. We don't have available discretionary funds. We do have a significant amount of asset renewal funds, and because we think the financial case is so strong, we're recommending that you take it from where you have available funds.
thanks, Anne. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you. Doug, look, thank you. My understanding is that the estimated cost for ongoing manual watering, this would be something circa of about 70,000, is that correct? By the time you factor in traffic management and such.
Yeah, the traffic management costs in the order of $6,000 to $7,000 each time you attend the site, and so yeah, if visiting the site 10 times a year for watering would be about the $70,000. That's right.
Yeah, thank you.
Councillor.
And that would incur significant risks for our personnel potentially with the traffic around there.
Through you, Mayor, there's certainly multiple benefits of having watering that can occur without having to have people attending on site and with traffic management.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr McNeil.
And
Anne, you wanted to comment further?
just further on the benefits also is that if council supports the establishment of the irrigation, then when we're preparing our budgets for next year, then we'll be able to factor in that it will be able to be watered at a lesser cost.
Thank you. Councillor Costin.
Thank you, Mayor. I wasn't aware there was an existing irrigation scheme there. Does that mean there was already a tap in the roundabout? And if there was already a tap in the roundabout, can we have a sort of a clearer definition of what we're spending $30,000 on for an irrigation system? It does seem like a lot of money.
Well, through the chair, there is a main and a tapping in the roundabout that at the moment we could use for manual watering, or else we bring it in on a truck, and so that manual watering requires traffic management. What the project would be is to connect to the tapping that is underground on the main, and put irrigation into the 3 garden beds. So it's not a particularly long project to do that irrigation, and it's polypipe and it's burying it and doing all of the drips and whatever the guys do, which is great. But you need the traffic management to do the irrigation project, and at $7,000 a day, there's a portion of that $30,000 project that will be directly in relation to traffic management. But the materials themselves and the installation of an irrigation system isn't more complex than any other one. It's the location that drives the cost.
Thank you. Any further questions on this item? No? Okay. Councillors, the officers have provided a recommendation with the report. Does any councillor wish to move a motion? Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, I wish to move a motion that actually takes out the Hall Street Cressy Road turnaround construction. That's it up there. Yep. That's.
Can you confirm, Councillor Hanson, that's the motion?
Yep, that's
Yep.
the motion, yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's the motion I wish to move.
Thank you. Do I have a seconder?
Can I ask a question, Mayor?
Yes.
Is money still required? I heard before in answer to the questions they needed 10,000 or thereabouts to do the gravel turnaround, or perhaps they've already got authorisation from it. Should this still authorise $10,000?
Mr McNeil.
Through you, Mayor, we still would need the allocation of the $10,000. So an option is that it's just removed as proposed by Councillor Hanson in this way, this meeting, and we come back in the project adjustment report next month, or you can amend this alternate motion to reflect that it's 10,000 instead of 55,000.
I think councillors might be interested in getting a better understanding of what the change is, and then they can make a decision.
Okay, thank you. So that's the motion
At
you
a
want.
briefing,
Yep.
yep.
So do I have a seconder for that motion? Councillor Costin. Is it to be Councillor Finnegan, did you have a question or you wanted to second the motion?
I was going to second, but
Okay.
yeah, no, if Councillor Costin is, that's fine.
Thank you. Is it to be opposed? Councillor Arnott. Councillor Hanson.
Yeah, I think what we see here in this motion and this item that's on the agenda is what's so very good about this report, where it's very clear and transparent about project adjustments. And the reason I'm moving a motion that's different to the officer recommendation is that it really wasn't that long ago that councillors supported a motion in this chamber to close the road, the Hall Street in Cressy, and to put the road ends, unsealed road ends in, I think at a cost of around $10,000. So it was a bit surprising to then see them in this table at a significant increase. And I think I for one would like to get a better understanding of whether this is the right way to go, or whether the unsealed option, which was originally proposed, is okay as well. So that's why I'm moving this motion without it in there. I do support the watering system, but, I think that just goes to, we could probably have a long discussion about the roundabout, about everything that's happened out at that roundabout. And I guess the watering system that was there was probably dug up when they had to remove a lot of the dirt at the roundabout because of so many crashes, so many accidents, including a chemical spill. So I think it is a much better idea to have an automated watering system. But yeah, probably disappointed that it's actually going to cost the council $10,000, whereas I really think the Department of Transport should have reinstated the watering system when they redid the roundabout.
Thank you, Councillor Hanson. Councillor Costin, your reserve. Councillor Arnott, you oppose?
I guess what we're talking about is the amendment to the motion here, not the motion.
It's an alternate motion. Councillor Arnott, did you wish to speak?
I'm sorry, I can't see with the how approves a project adjustments in 3A, approves a project adjustments in 3B. What does that mean? It's probably without the allocation to Hall Street. Okay, all right, fair enough. Look, this Hall Street road funding has been to us before, has been to briefings, has been to council. We've already had the questions in the community, why is this dragging on for so long? This will drag on for another couple of months. My understanding of the briefing that came back to council was that this was decided as an appropriate way to give the community of Cressy a result that was similar to what they've got now, where they've got quite a large sealed area of road out the front of the old pub that they use to either navigate or to turn around on, and that a unsealed or gravel end would then result in the requirement for council to come back and maintain it a long time, from fairly often. And so this sort of like is a way of sealing it, get the job done once, getting a better outcome for the community. So that's why I would support this to be remained in there.
Thank you, Councillor Arnott. Does any other councillor wish to speak? Councillor Costin.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm bowing to Councillor Hanson's greater knowledge of this issue than me, so I supported the motion. I do think we should have a closer look at this, and I don't agree with Councillor Arnott that it will drag on for another couple of months. We heard from the officers that we could receive an adjustment report next month after we've had some more discussion on this. Thank you.
Thanks, Councillor Costin. Yes, Councillor Finnegan.
Thank you, Mayor. And I think the project adjustments and cash transfers table is something that's really fantastic, and it does help us clearly explain to the community when further money is needed for projects, why, or even when we have money left over from projects and the reasons why. It's a pretty transparent and comprehensive thing we have in most council agendas, and I encourage the community to read it. I supporting this because, particularly Councillor Hanson's alternate, I'm supporting it mainly because it removes the funding, I guess, essentially for the Hall Street matter. Reality was Hall Street was costed at $10,000 at the time when council voted to close it. I did vote against at the time, and had the motion been before us to spend in excess of 500% increase on that initial $10,000 budget, I would have voted against that tonight as well. So I appreciate Councillor Hanson putting up her alternative motion. It will enable us to take a closer look at the reason why things blew out and sort of get a more comprehensive understanding of what's needed and what can be done for the original 10 grand. I'd also like to endorse other comments made by councillors, particularly around the roundabout at Colac East and the articulation system, just the watering system there, that it's unfortunate that it was ripped out and we weren't kind of given that value back, but it is where we're at, and we do need to get water supply to that roundabout for the landscaping that's been undertaken there. So I'll be voting for this motion.
Thanks, Councillor Finnegan. Sorry, I didn't see your hand up before that. Councillor Hanson, you've got a right to reply.
Yeah, I just will reply. The Hall Street stuff did come to council. It came through this chamber, but it was a motion voted on with a cost of for unsealed roads at $10,000. I think it's a good idea that councillors do have a good look at it, because they made a decision based on unsealed roads of $10,000. Who knows what the decision might have been if it was $55,000? And I think they need. I would like to get a good understanding of whether the sealed roads is the better option to go. But it is quite a significant budget increase from the motion that was in this chamber not very long ago. So I was quite surprised to see it in this report. So I do want to find out a bit more information about it.
Thanks, Councillor Hanson. Councillors, I will now call for a vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried 5-2. Thank you.
Division.
Division, all those in favour? Councillor Hanson, Councillor Costin, Councillor Potter, Councillor White, Councillor Finnegan. Those against? Councillor Hart, Councillor Arnott. Thank you. Now we move on to item 9.20. Got a frog in my throat. Audit and Risk Committee unconfirmed minutes. The purpose of this report is to provide to Council for information. Oh, did I miss one? Sorry, councillors, I've missed an item. Sorry, I turned the page, one too many. So sorry, we're back to item 9.19, Community Asset Committee, new member, Kennett River Tennis Reserve. The purpose of the report is to appoint a new member to the Kennett River Tennis Reserve Community Asset Committee. Councillors, before I ask for a motion, do any councillors have any questions? No questions? Councillors, the officers have provided a recommendation with the report for our consideration. Does any councillor wish to move a motion in relation to this report? Councillor Hart, to be seconded. Councillor Costin. Oh, Councillor Finnegan, sorry. I need one eye up, one eye down. Thank you, Councillor Hart. And the seconder, Councillor Costin. Do you wish to speak? Anyone to oppose? No opposed. Councillor Hart, do you wish to speak?
Just to thank Eleanor Lanigan for taking an interest in the Kennett River Tennis Reserve. I think it's really great to see when people put a lot of time into these sorts of committees, and what we're doing today is just a formal process to appoint that person to the Community Asset Committee.
Thanks, Councillor Hart. Councillor Costin.
Thank you, Mayor. And again, also just to congratulate Eleanor for putting her hand up for this committee. And I note that Eleanor is also the new president of the newly formed Kennett Community Action Group. So that is a good initiative, a great initiative of the Kennett River community, and it's good that they're also looking to have an appointee on the Tennis Court Community Asset Committee.
Yeah,
thank you.
Good synergy. Any other councillor wish to speak? Councillors, I'll now call for a vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried 7-0. Thank you, councillors. Now we'll get to the Audit and Risk Committee. Item 9.20, Audit and Risk Committee unconfirmed minutes, 6th of December 2023. The purpose of this report is to provide council for information, the Colac Otway Shire Audit and Risk Committee unconfirmed minutes dated 6th of December 2023. Councillors, before I ask for a motion, do any councillors have any questions? Councillor Hart.
Thanks, Mayor. I refer to Council to item 7.6 of the minutes that we're looking at, which is on page 362 of our meeting agenda for the council meeting, refers to the audit report on delegations and authorisations. What were the findings in relation to delegations? I know that this issue has come up in relation to specific projects in the past. Was there any notable findings, and what's Council's response been to that issue?
Through the chair, unless our General Manager of Corporate Services has some more detail, I'm going to take part of that on notice because I don't recall the individual findings off the top of my head. Overall, there were no high risk findings, and many of the recommendations that management have responded to are very much about improving process, using more of a system approach rather than individual documentation approaches, and we have a great system now to help manage delegations authorisations, so very much around process, and the other one was very much around making sure that staff are appropriately trained and regularly refreshed in the framework of working under delegations, and our governance officer has actually therefore refreshed the delegation training, and that is being rolled out.
Councillor Hart, follow-up question.
So from that, Mayor, is Council confident that the issues that have arisen perhaps several years ago in relation to people signing off on works that exceeded their delegations, that type of thing, is council confident that those sorts of issues have been addressed?
Through the chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Hart. I am confident that we are making good progress in strengthening a number of our governance frameworks. Delegations is one, and our project and contract management is another. And I look forward to the conversation with councillors about the review of the procurement policy. So there's a number of things in train to help strengthen our governance.
Any other questions? No other questions? Thank you. Councillors, councillors, the officers have provided a recommendation with the report for our consideration. Does any councillor wish to move a motion in relation to this matter? Councillor Arnott, is it to be seconded? Councillor Potter, is it to be opposed? Not to be opposed. Councillor Arnott.
Thank you, Mayor White. I'd also like to acknowledge Councillor Hart's questions about this. After serving a long period of time on this audit committee prior to my appointment, his attention to it is welcomed, so that to ask those critical questions to make sure we're on top of things. These minutes are important to report back to Council about the activities of the Audit and Risk Committee, because it is one of the more critical items to make sure the functions of Council continue in an appropriate manner. So thank you.
Councillor Potter? No? Anyone else wish to speak? No one wishes to speak. Councillors, I'll now call for a vote. All those in favour? Those against? Carried 7-0. Move on to item 9.21, the revocation of the authorised officer under the Planning and Environment Act 1987. The purpose of this report is to revoke the instrument of appointment and authorisation for Graham Murphy, who is no longer employed by Council. Councillors, before I ask for a motion, is there any questions? No questions? Councillors, we have an officer recommendation with the report for our consideration. Does any councillor wish to move a motion in relation to this? Councillor Potter, seconded Councillor Finnegan. Is it to be opposed? Councillor Potter.
Thanks, Mayor. Yeah, a procedural item that we have to go through, given that Mr Murphy is no longer with us and therefore his authority doesn't apply. Just like to thank Mr Murphy for his years of service to the Shire as a dedicated officer in his role.
Thank you, Councillor Potter. Councillor Finnegan? Don't wish to speak. Anyone else wish to speak? No? Okay, councillors, I will now call for a vote. All those in favour? All those against? Carried 7-0. Moving on to the next report of informal meetings of councillors. Purpose of this report is to report on the informal meetings of councillors. So before I ask for a motion, is there any questions? No questions? Councillors, the officers have provided a recommendation with the report for our consideration. Does a councillor wish to move the motion? Information only? I've got a... yeah, I was just following the script. Okay, so that's for information only. We don't need to go through. Councillor Costin, you have a question.
Excuse me, Mayor, I'll have to ask for leave. I have a prior commitment I have to head off to. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for reminding us. Okay, so we'll move on to item 10.1, and that's the report from the Delegate, Municipal Association of Victoria, MAV, held on Friday, 13th October 2023. Councillor Hart, would you like to comment or highlight any parts of the report?
No, I think I've done that in the report. Happy if anyone feels they want to question me about it, but it's all there.
Yeah, it's pretty comprehensive. Thank you. And we don't need a motion. It's for information. Thanks, Councillor Hart, for all your work with MAV. Now we move on to Deans Creek Yep, move on to Deans Creek Community Reference Group appointment. Councillor Hart.
Thanks, Mayor. As foreshadowed at the start of the meeting about a week ago, I'd like to move a motion to close the meeting pursuant to provisions of Section 66 of the Local Government Act 2020 to consider an item of confidential business as defined in Section 3 of the Local Government Act, being that it relates to personal information, being information which, if released, would result in the unreasonable disclosure of information about any person or their personal affairs.
Thanks, Councillor Hart. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Finnegan? Oh, you've got a question? Thank you.
No, I'm just seconding. Thank you.
Seconding? Okay, so we've got a seconder. Does anyone else wish to speak? I said, does anyone wish to speak? No? No, we're moving. Okay, thank you. So all those in favour? 6-0. Thank you. Thanks, councillors. I'll now thank those who have joined us in the community and joined us online, and that concludes